dear brothers and sisters in Islam, to continue the topic, purifying the heart from its various diseases, we can return back to the story of Adam alayhi salam and the many lessons that can be taken from the first of mankind. And as we concluded last week, Adam and his wife Hawa, they were ejected from the gardens and sent down to earth. And the reasoning behind that was that Adam alayhi salam and his wife, they were deterred from the truth. They were disillusioned by shaitan and fell into temptation. And because of that, the end result is, well, here we are. And as they were sent down to earth, they were charged to populate the earth with their offspring. This is the beginning of our story as human beings. And during that time, the initial and introductory phase of mankind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted, and this was really no other way around it, that the sons and daughters of Adam and his wife Hawa were to marry one another. And then they would have children, etc., until they would populate the earth. Hawa, she would have twins for each of her deliveries, a boy and a girl. And this was what was mentioned by Imam Ibn Kathir in his great work Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. And from among the offspring of Adam and Hawa were two sons, very famous, by the name of Qabil and Habil. And this is the story of Cain and Abel. And each of them had a sister as a twin. Qabil, who was the farmer, and Habil, he was a shepherd. And when it came time to marry, well, Adam alayhi salam, the father, was instructed to marry one to the sister of the other. Qabil's sister happened to be the more attractive of the two. And Habil, he asked for her hand in marriage. And as we know how the story goes between men and women, there's something about attraction that it just attracts you, draws you in. And so Qabil, who now was essentially going to see his very attractive sister married to his brother, he was a little bit upset about this decision and said that she's my sister, wulidat ma'i, born with me, وهي أحسن من أختك, she's fairer than your sister, وأنا أحق أن أتزوج بها, and I have more right to marrying her than you. So now we have a conflict between two brothers over who's going to marry who. And Adam ordered that they marry as he prescribed. Habil was to marry the sister of Qabil, and Qabil was to marry the sister of Habil, but Qabil, he ended up refusing. Didn't like the plan. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a way to determine the outcome, and that was by offering a sacrifice. And so Adam instructed his sons to offer a sacrifice, and whichever was accepted, then that would essentially close the deal. And so while preparing for their sacrifices, Habil, the shepherd, he offered a very healthy and plump, a fat lamb as his sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas Qabil, he offered a bundle of his worst grains. He was the farmer. He put forth the worst quality of what his produce was. And if you remember last week, we were talking about greed. We were talking about miserliness and how that is also a disease of the heart. And we can see here how that also comes into play when it's time to offer something, to sacrifice something, whereas Habil, a very generous soul, gave away the best of what he had. Qabil, he withheld that and gave away the worst. You could imagine which sacrifice is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The best. When you give something, you give the best. If not, you give what is average. You don't look for the least value and the worst to give away. And so a fire descended from the heavens and ate, if you will, the offering of Habil, leaving the sacrifice of Qabil, his poor quality grains, rejected. And of course, Qabil, he became very angry at his brother's success. And he vowed to get rid of him so that he could not marry his sister. He told him, I'm going to kill you so you cannot marry my sister. And Habil, the brother, responded. He says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah accepts from those that are pious, those that are God-fearing and keep their duty to their Lord. And it seemed like everything settled until one evening when Habil was late coming home from herding. Adam, the father, he sent Qabil to go look for his son and to see what was keeping him. And you have to think all the while, Qabil is struggling now with the results of his own actions and the decision of his father that he lost, was not successful. And inside of him, there's something that is festering in his heart. There's a disease that is growing exponentially. And when he found his brother, he said to him, تُقُبِّلَ مِنْكَ وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنِّي. It was accepted from you, but it was not from me. He's still harboring these feelings that his brother's sacrifice was accepted and his was rejected, that he was the loser. And again, Habil, he responded in the same way, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah accepts from the pious. And when he heard this response, as righteous as it may be, the disease in his heart had grown so strong that he ended up at that moment taking the life of his brother. And it was said he struck him over the head hard enough that he died. And this was the first murder in the history of man. And you can read about this in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter number 5. Remember this because this is your homework. Chapter number 5 of the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, from verses 27 to 31. It'll take you 2 minutes or less. And you can see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recounts this story in a very divine way. Now, it's not odd that someone was murdered. That's bound to happen in the life of this world. Evil things are bound to happen. Life is to be lost at some point. But what is profound here, or what we should be looking into, is the reasoning behind that. Why did this murder happen? Why did Qabil kill his brother Habil? And it wasn't over a woman. I mean, there was certainly a woman involved. But the issue was not the woman herself. The issue resided in Qabil. And that is, as some of the pious of the past, they said, Al-Hasad, أَوَّلُ ذَنْبٍ عُصِيَ اللَّهُ بِهِ فِي السَّمَاءِ. That hasad, which we could say is envy or extreme jealousy, is the first sin. The first sin committed in the heavens. And what's referred to here is hasad Iblis. This is the envy of Iblis, Shaitan, for Adam alayhi salam. And this was the first sin. When Iblis was commanded to prostrate among the angels to Adam, ikraman, lahu. in order to welcome him and greet him into the life of the gardens, Iblis refused because of hasad. He was jealous of Adam. He was jealous. Adam was created from clay and he was created from fire, and he saw himself superior and was jealous that Adam was receiving such a greeting, such honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so Iblis refused this command. And they said, أَوَّلُ ذَنْبٍ عُصِيَ اللَّهُ بِهِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. The first sin committed on the earth was also hasad. And what they refer to is hasad ibn Adam li akhihi hatta qatala. The jealousy and the envy that Qabil had for his brother Habil, to the point that he murdered him. What is hasad exactly? What is this type of jealousy or envy? We all may understand jealousy means that you want what others have, something of that nature. You're envious of them for their accomplishments or their possessions. But hasad in this term is much worse than that. As the great Imam Al-Raghib Al-Asfahani, he said, Al-Hasad, that this envy or this jealousy is the hope that what it is that you envy is taken away from those that deserve it. And it's possible that this will drive you to acting upon those feelings, that you will actually go out of your way to see that what it is that you desire and envy is removed from the person that actually possesses it. Much like what Qabil did by killing his brother. He told him, I'm going to kill you so that you cannot have my sister. And those feelings ended up materializing into action, and he killed his own blood. The events that occurred in that story, they were based on overwhelming desires of this worldly life and obtaining them at all costs. Halal, haram, doesn't matter. Because sometimes we are so fixated on something, we actually believe that the means are justified by the end. We want something so bad, we're willing to do anything to get it. And we work it out in our minds in some way. Doesn't matter the disappointment, doesn't matter the hardship, it doesn't matter the pain that is caused along the way. The disease of envy will drive mankind to do the most unspeakable acts. And the reason that is, as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, is because hasad and iman, they do not reside in the same heart. He says, وَلَا يَجْتَمِعَانِ فِي قَلْبِ عَبْدٍ الْإِيمَانِ وَالْحَسَدِ. That these two things, iman, faith, and hasad, they don't come together in the heart of the slave. The heart of the servant is not healthy with iman and diseased at the same time. It's one or the other. One is going to conquer the other in some way. So with no iman, or we could say with very weak iman, a very sick heart, there's nothing to prevent you from evil. There's no iman to prevent you from wronging yourself or wronging others around you. And you're able to act on the jealous and envious feelings, the disease that is festering. This type of heart that has become overwhelmed with hasad is a very lowly type of heart. It's tied up in the worldly delights, and it responds to the world in a very lowly manner. And if we cannot get those feelings under control and rid our hearts of this disease of hasad, it will lead to the destruction of our homes, our communities, and our lives. The Prophet ﷺ was quoted to have said, لا يزال الناس بخير ما لم يتحاسدوا. That people will be in perpetual goodness. They will be in a state of perpetual good, will always be well, so long as they do not envy one another. How is that possible? How can you stay away from envying someone? How can you avoid such a disease? Well, I'll mention 3 causes of jealousy or envy. And these were mentioned by Imam al-Mawardi. Mentioned by Imam Mawardi. He said that the 3 underlying causes to develop this sickness in the heart is that you become angry when a person who is the subject of your jealousy, whether they have something that you want, they've accomplished something that you desire, they have qualities or traits about them that you do not, you become angry when you see those things. Anger based on these desires. Number 2, he says, when someone has something you're unable to obtain, then you cannot stand seeing it. You actually despise seeing that object of your desire. And number 3, that you're angry with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the worst of the 3. That you become angry and you become disappointed, you're disenfranchised with Allah's decree, His appointment of the world and the way that it works. You're essentially jealous of others because you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been fair with you and the world around you. These are 3 major pitfalls that absolutely must be avoided at all costs in order to rid the heart of jealousy. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى ونصلي ونسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Imam al-Mawardi, he mentioned 3 underlying causes of hasad. So I'm going to add to that and mention 3 cures, if you will. So you have 3 reasons why a person is afflicted with envy or hasad, and then 3 ways in which you can begin to cure your heart of that disease. The first is recognizing that all of the blessings of this world, they're from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not produced by your ability nor the ability of others around you. They all originate from Allah Azza wa Jal. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah An-Nisa, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. It says, and wish not for the things in which Allah has made some of you to excel over others. لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمًا. It says, for men there is reward for what they have earned, and likewise for women there is reward for what they have earned. And ask Allah of His bounty. Here is key. What it is that you want, you go about it by asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not hoping that what others have will disappear, will be removed, but by seeking the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surely Allah is ever all-knower of everything. And we can be reminded of this reality. And this is the true beauty of prophetic practice. Putting faith into action. Being reminded of that reality on a daily basis was a prophetic prescription. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been reported in Sunnah Abi Dawood. He says, من قال حين يصبح اللهم ما أصبح بي من نعمة فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك. He says, whoever says in the morning, O Allah, whatever I have of blessing is from you alone, without partner. فَلَكَ الْحَمْدُ وَلَكَ الشُّكْرُ. So all praise and all thanks belong to you. If you say that in the morning, every morning that you wake up, you're grateful and thankful to Allah, acknowledging that everything that you have, everything about you, all of the blessings that you enjoy, they're from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَقَدْ أَدَّى شُكْرَ يَوْمِهِ. Then you will have given your due of gratitude for that day. Right? And that's right, there's a due. There is something that is due on us, and that is to be grateful for the things that we do have. To focus on what it is that we do enjoy, and to show that gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that begins by proclaiming it in such a way. Whatever I have of blessing is from you, who is alone without partner, and therefore all thanks and praise belong to you. And he said, whoever says the same thing in the evening, if Allah blesses you to live, extend your life into the night, and you say the same thing, فَقَدْ أَدَّى شُكْرَ لَيْلَتِهِ. Then he has given his due of gratitude for the evening. And with this prophetic prescription, you will be reminded in the morning and in the evening that what it is that you have or what it is that you want, it's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in your neighbor, the person that you've become envious of or jealous of. The second prescription here for this very trying disease is that you find pleasure in what Allah has given you. That you find satisfaction in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you. And if you're able to do this, you will find the true richness that this world has to offer. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, وَرْضَى بِمَا قَسَمَ اللَّهُ لَكَ تَكُنْ أَغْنَى النَّاسِ. If you're able to be pleased with what Allah has bestowed upon you, what He has allotted for you, then you will be the wealthiest of people. You will be the wealthiest. This is true wealth. Think about it for a moment. What it is that you desire. Think about that financial goal in your mind. You want to be the 2 comma club, 3 comma club, whatever it is that you're after. Will you be truly happy when you get there? Or will you need to increase that to be happier, to maintain that level of satisfaction with life? What you've been given of spouse or of children, your position, your lot in life. Now, I'm not saying, nor is it being promoted that you should just sit in the corner and not strive and try your best. But after all that's said and done, how can you find true happiness? By being satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you. Without finding that happiness in His decree, you will never find happiness. Being pleased with Allah's decree yields a sense of satisfaction that money just cannot purchase. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, نَحْنُ قَسَمْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَرَفَعْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ دَرَجَاتٍ لِيَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا سُخْرِيًّا وَرَحْمَةُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. It is He who portioned out between them their livelihood in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one that has divided and portioned this world among His servants. And we raised some of them above others in rank. And that's just the way of the world. That's the way Allah has done it. So that some may employ others in their work, but the mercy of your Lord, meaning paradise, is better than the wealth of this world which they amass. To try and find satisfaction in what it is that you have and not constantly being worried about what it is that you don't have is the way to true happiness, and essentially a way to rid yourself of feelings of hasad or envy towards others. Number 3 is being happy with what others have been blessed with. To be happy with the successes of others. This is absolutely fundamental to the success of a community such as this at large. That when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. That when someone, even though it's not us, has been awarded or acknowledged or has achieved, we are happy with that. And how do we extend or show that happiness? It's a very particular manner which will come back to benefit you. And that is by praying for them. By praying for those that have been successful. And in doing so, you will receive a similar prayer for your own success. It almost seems like it is opposite here. You see someone successful, so you pray for their continued success, forgetting about yourself, if just momentarily. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, دعوة المرء المسلم لأخيه بظهر الغيب مستجابة. He says that the supplication, one Muslim for his brother, while he is absent, is answered. عند رأسه ملك موكل كلما دعا لأخيه بخير قال الملك الموكل به آمين ولك بمثله. That there is an angel that has been appointed to you. And every time you supplicate for the success of your brother in his absence, and that takes some real intentionality. It's easy when they're in front of you. Oh, I was just promoted. Oh, I just got married. We just had a child, a new baby. I was just given a raise. I just purchased a home. And you can say, Barakallahu feek. May Allah bless you. But to remember them 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, an hour, a day later, when you're not standing in front of them, means that you truly have their best interest in your heart. And when you pray for them in their absence, that angel that has been appointed to you will say Ameen, and for you the same. Praying for your brother equals an angel praying for you in the manner that you prayed for them. And with these 3 basic prescriptions, we can begin to pure the heart of this very vile disease of hasad. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our hearts from any diseases, that He guide us to the straight way and keep our feet firmly rooted in faith. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.